So, good evening, everyone. Beautiful souls, to another episode, which is episode 8 of Elevate the Soul. And tonight I have a special guest. Her name is Shannie, and she runs the page We Are One on Facebook. And I'll tell you why I'm mentioning it. Not only as part of her introduction, but because, as the soul guide, I have my way to reach many, many, many souls. And 90% of the time is simply with my insights, with things that I just keep inside, and they're just ready to come out and be shared with others. And mostly spiritual stuff, of course, mostly positive stuff. And my experience from my outer body experience after my car accident. So all these insights are just being processed, and they're coming out either via video or a picture or a text or anything like that. So a lot of people. And I have to tell you, Shani, first of all, welcome and thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
We're
And thank you
continuing to.
for having me here. And I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about how you connected me
Absolutely,
to,
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it because really the main thing is for people to know the importance of synchronicities and learn to embrace them. Because synchronicities can be something that you just that catches your eye because it's so life changing and it's so weird and it's so, a lot of people call it luck or destiny, or who would believe, but it's not about that. Synchronicity is not something that's supposed to just come once every now and then and surprise us and help us tap into our soul, but it's a chain of events. It's part of our soul journey, and these are the letters of our soul contract that we have to be around, to merge with, to embrace in bunches and every day of our lives in order to manifest miracles ourselves. So that's how I live my life. Now let's get to you, our guest. I, so I go every now and then. I post on Facebook every day. I either do a video or some insights and a picture. So I don't know how, but I scroll down the timeline to make a post, and I usually don't read the other timeline because I just focus on what I do. Um, and I see that page, and I see a picture and a post, and I read that post, and it doesn't matter exactly which post it was to the detail, but I'm reading this post, and I'm like, wow, I really like it. Like I resonate with that, and it's kind of the stuff that I do, and it's
I know,
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful to see. And I'm like, and then I go in and I just see other posts too, and it just and I read it and I'm like, wow, and I can really resonate with that, and I can really relate to that, and it's nice and refreshing to be like reading those for once,
Yeah,
not just writing those. And then I
sure.
go and yeah, and what was mostly refreshing to see is that this is fairly a new page. It's got under 1,000 followers, but yet the posts are constant and positive, and you can see it's coming from a place to enlighten others, to like from the same place. I think that, and I know that my drive is coming from my motivation, if you would. And I wanted to ask you, it's called We Are One, which is a beautiful name because we are
Yeah.
one for ourselves, individuals, and one is a divine light and collective. And I wanted to ask you, who are you? What made you do that? That's, kind of in a nutshell.
Okay. Do you want I'll give you the short version, Cole's version. Um, so, well, my journey's been, similar to yours too, and I see the synchronicity totally as well with your stuff. And I believe that's what we're all doing right now. The ones that are really trying to understand what's going on. What is our relationship to God? Who is God? And what is our relationship to one another? Really trying to. We're all not not all of us, but there has been a bunch of us that are really, really trying to um, identify with something bigger, and believing in a bigger God, that there's, more to it than, and we're just, really, really seeking. And, and it's, been a journey for me. I think, and for all of us, really, we're all doing this. But I think a lot of us, just because of the challenges and whatever, maybe we've kind of given up in a way, and, just looking back at my whole journey coming here, like this has been something that I have been doing, for definitely about 30 years. And but I mean, we only had the internet not that long ago, and even having the internet, I didn't put myself out there very much in the beginning because I was so insecure about what I was trying to understand, and not being as so well received with some of the ideas that I have had,
So let
so
me
of course,
interrupt you really quick. I
yeah,
really apologize when I interrupt. It's not out of rudeness. It's
yeah,
just something because something's sitting in
sure,
my soul, and I forget everything I
yeah,
say in those sessions. Like it's all really coming from the soul and just
yeah,
evaporating, and I love it. But here's the thing. So you want to tell
yeah,
me that despite this is you're new to the this is new a new page ish, and you are you said we just had the internet, but you've been doing this for over 30 years. Like you were into this, like this spiritual
yeah.
awakening for or wow,
Yeah.
that's even more impressive. Wonderful.
But I mean, most of that was just me being quiet and trying to understand things,
It's all about you. It's all
Um,
about us.
pardon me?
I said it's all about
Yeah.
you or us individually because it's an individual
Yeah.
journey. That's how you level up.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if I don't know, there is a lot that I could go uh into. But if I mean, if I want to just talk about how I got here and my struggle to get here, that's a whole big thing to talk about. But I really, I actually, when I was 25, you had a near death experience. Well, I sort of look back on that now as kind of a near death experience as well. Because I actually have, you know, I really struggled actually with suicide. And and I have been struggling with it ever since. But like now, I'm really kind of really out there and excited. Like you see a lot of stuff from me because, all of us that are putting, like God is real and, all of this really awesome inspiration and basically truth, you know, is lighting my fire, and then it's snowballing. We're all lighting each other's fire, like we're syncing up to these people around us that are also have been, and may have even had some sort of supernatural experience that they know this experience that they had, which I know that even if, even in my darkest times, I was experiencing a lot of supernatural stuff that, you can't really explain to doctors or people around you. They just don't identify with a lot of that. And you start to suppress it. And then also for my background as well, I'm not religious at all. Like I don't even know what religion to even go to, and I mean, as I was raised, I wasn't raised in a Christian home or anything like that, but I'm not Jewish, so Christianity is the religion. So when I decided to understand if God is real, that's the first place I went to. I actually didn't think there was anything else but Christianity, and then just even opening up that door, that opened up so many different, areas of things that are so confusing, because even within that group of people, there is just so much different, ideas and contradictions, and and just even contradictions within that religion, where it's the Baptists that know the truth. No, it's the Catholics, it's the Pentecostals, or whatever. So, and coming from a place of not knowing which one is right, I just had to kind of go along and learn everybody, and I just, that's all I've been doing really, is I just keep on bouncing from one thing to the next until one day a light bulb went off and I'm like, wait a second, I'm believing in something that's very Jewish, and so that's when that other rabbit hole opened up. And so what I really believe is happening here in this world and with the internet and the fact that we can actually all communicate with one another, and we don't have those walls anymore, those religious walls so much. Now we can we can easily go into areas and check it out without, and there's not really it's not scary, it's you can learn about other faiths and other ideas, and really let those ideas just basically give you more proof and more confidence in what you're already believing in, and it's putting the pieces together every single day, and all of us, it's happening for all of us. It's because now we are one, and we are able to have this voice and listen to each other. And maybe there's quite a lot of stuff that might not resonate or whatever, but we can hear each other out in respect, and just allow that information, to teach us things and to learn about each other. That's relationship. Relationship is not that we're all exactly the same type of people, learning the same exact thing. Like, we are, trying to identify with who God is, but there's just so many colors because God is huge and never ending, and we want him to be never ending. We want to have, constantly this adventure of understanding a bigger God and understanding a bigger part of who we all are. And really, it's just our interaction with each other while we're doing this that we have to learn how to do that better, to allow people to be who they are in their learning journey and have that free will and freeness to be their expression of whatever they're understanding, and just enjoy it for what
Yeah.
we can learn from that, you know and that I think is what is happening, for all of us. And just even the fact that you are one of the very, very few people who have allowed this door for me to come out and express myself. And honestly, like, to me, it's just amazing because we haven't even talked at all. And the fact that you just want to trust basically God, trust the spirit to just allow, you had a good feeling about it just from, what you were understanding from the things that you were syncing up with the things that I was saying, that I would be a person that you could do this with, and it's not
Yeah.
going to kind of blow
You
up or
know what I
whatever.
tell my
And you want
wife?
to do it live. That's amazing.
Yeah, of course,
You know?
raw and live. You know what I tell my wife? I say I don't follow common sense anymore. But I used to be all about common sense, or I used to
Yeah.
calculate everything and plan. And I only follow my intuition, which is the voice of my soul, day in and day
Right.
out. What you described beautifully was the spiritual awakening, the global spiritual awakening that's going on. I'm you spoke about Judaism. I was born Jewish. I am Jewish. I'm actually proud of it. However, when it comes to religion or to my relationship with God, I came to a complete realization after my experience that I am part of, we are all part of God. Like, we are the only, if you want to go to the Bible, to the biblical days, to the day, the first, the sixth day of creation, we were, as human beings, the only creations that we weren't created by God. The only thing that was created was our physical body, but our soul was not created by God, unlike the rest of creation. Our soul was God's breath, shared with us. So we carry his quote unquote DNA. We carry his particles. We carry his light. We carry his ability. We are born in his image. And when you have a near death experience or an experience like I had, and it's all really, it's nice to share with people and to let them resonate and to let them feel some of the warmth that that light, that story is shedding. But at the same time, it's an individual journey, which just like a dream, just like a gut feeling, just like intuition. Like you don't share it with somebody else. It's something that it speaks to you, and then it goes out. And I think that you're right. Like, but at the same time, some souls like us, when you are limit yourself into a religion, and again, I tell everybody who I speak to, I try to not even bring religion because people are from different faiths and religion. And I like to unite around the area of the soul, that we are all children of God. There are no souls that are not of God and some that are. And there are different practices, but you know what I say? All rivers lead to the sea eventually. Some go down the mountain, some go harder up the hill, some just going through, I don't know, the desert. So it's just however people connect. When I know who I am and I know God, like I see myself, instead of being a street camera, which is what religion is, it only expands a field, a territory, right? I mean, it's got its own rules and regulations. It's a community in a way, so it covers its light. It's a camera. It sees it. It's like a street light. But when you go above that, like I want people to be satellites to see the whole picture, the whole idea of creation, the whole idea of who God is, and to speak to everybody. So it's interesting that you were attracted to Judaism, and it's probably, to me, witness that it's something from past life, something that is part of who you are, the soul.
My cat's face bombing you. Yeah,
Okay.
he's so spoiled. He wants attention. Yeah, so this is typically like, I mean, Judaism is not been, it's not something new to me. It's something that I've wanted to understand the Jewish point of view. I wanted to understand the Jew because I was believing in a Jew, you know. So I wanted to clarify what I was understanding, and uh, you know, I mean, if I wanted to understand a Chinese person, to really understand a Chinese person, I might want to go to China. I might want to actually see how they live. I mean, we all think differently. We all have our different traditions, our beliefs that have made us a people, basically. So what is it? A lot of people don't really understand my attraction to trying to understand what Judaism is, or I mean, a lot of people actually think I am Jewish because of the way that I present myself, and because a lot of the stuff I talk about is the relationship, but I do believe that we are in a relationship with the Jew, now that is going to be completely controversial in a way in this world, in the way that the world doesn't like identity, they said, now I mean, I'm, tell me if you don't resonate, but I mean this is the way that I see that, and it's creating a massive darkness because we don't know what our identity is. What we're not really embracing who we are, and that was kind of the problem with me, and why I struggled so much with myself. Who am I? So I am a woman. So what? I'm not Jewish. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean now I have to become Jewish? I'm believing in Jewish. Do I have to? I'm believing, in something in Christianity, but I'm believing what the Baptists are saying. Does that mean I'm a Baptist now? But I think that really, we shouldn't make things so small. We should just kind of, understand who we are in our own journey here, and all of those doors that I opened to get here, to understand, what I'm understanding about who I am. And now I can respect everybody and their own journeys and however they got to this place of oneness, and that, and now I can actually put myself in them, in the, learning about you and your even as a Jewish person in Judaism or whatever, and your experience, it's going to be different from a lot of other Jewish people. So there's so much that we need to understand about who we all are to really kind of, and as I know more about everybody else, I'm learning more about myself, and so that's how I play the game. But I really believe that the Jew is one. So this is a little bit different than Judaism, like where Judaism will also say the Jew is one. And I know the world doesn't really get that, but and I understand it from your perspective too, and that the soul is one. But what does that mean? Like, we know God is one, and He's no gender. He's one soul, So, but we know, and Judaism knows this, and I think, what I identify a lot with the Jews, and what I really respect and love about the Jews, is their relationship. What I really see how that group of people really is trying to identify with God as one people, and so that they can be a light to the world, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing that the
Yeah.
world really should be, we should be supporting that more, which a lot of us do, but then of course a lot of us don't, and but that's the humanness of who we are in our own darkness, of not understanding the relationship and our own identity and who we are. So I'm not going to convert to Judaism. Maybe one day I would, but from now, I like my spot that I'm at. I like being in the nations. I like the Gentile. I like being a Gentile, actually, because I see in my image the light, the light of God. And so the Jew is my fire, for sure. He's lighting it for me, because that's how I really, really started believing, is when I started really hearing the heart of the Jewish people, and really getting to know them outside of all of the religiosity and legalism that we all do, but then you were saying too that you're not so religious sort of thing, and you feel like that it's sort of separate, the identifying with the spiritual and the soul and that sort of thing. But that's sort of what I'm also noticing too with the Gentiles. It's all about being one with God, and the religious, we don't want to be put back into a box. We like our freedom, we like our creativity, we love dealing with our intuition. So now, actually, I feel like we have to be careful, because we don't want to now be like religion and sort of say we're separate from that, because nothing is separate, everything is one,
Yeah.
So how do we make religion a part of us? How do we bring that in, all that religiosity, the rules, and how can we learn to like elevate it, sort of thing, and love it, to understand how this is actually making my spirituality even more spiritual, and that's kind of what I feel like I do. And this is the reason why I'm small. I've been doing this now for about 4 years, definitely writing pretty much every day. I used to write in a blog, and I spent a lot of time writing really great blog posts. I feel like it's almost like automatic writing. It's intuitive. And like sometimes I'm reading back on some of my stuff, and it didn't come from me. Like, and I'd say it's coming from the Jew, because I feel like I'm tapping into the other, and so the other is ultimately God. God is our soulmate. But then now it's translated. The energy is also exchanged here on earth. That's how it's supposed to be. We have to understand how to exchange it on earth, because what is one is one. So what you're sharing with me, and what I know I'm sharing with you, even if we don't see each other's posts, that oneness is one. And I also believe we're growing together in oneness. So as we are growing, and we know our identity, as we know ourselves in the image of God, like who I am, it's what and you're doing it, and other people are doing it, and whoever they are in their identity, like, just be who you are. That's your truth. That is what is waking us all up, because it's speaking to all of us. It opens up something inside us in a quantum level. It's telepathy. There's
Yes.
things I can't even explain how I know,
I agree.
and I don't know if you notice too, like, don't you find, and I mean, it could also be cookies, and it could be all of these other things, but there's just some things you just can't even explain it. Like right now, I find the movement is a lot about healing. The talk in the spiritual world. Now we're all talking about healing, and then maybe in another couple weeks it'll be something else. But we're all. It's like as if I wake up and I have this idea, and then all of a sudden I open up the internet, and you guys are already all talking about it. It's like,
Wow.
it's really,
Manifest.
like that's. Yeah, so that's the way I'm identifying with things. Like my you know that, like, for me, because I'm single, right? I have no husband, I have no children, so I'm really aware of this, because it's like, for me, I guess it's becoming my image. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, what are we
you
doing
take
here?
advantage of being alone to isolate, to
Yeah.
collect yourself with yourself, and it's one of the best ways to grow. You mentioned something about Judaism and about religion, and I'll tell you how I practice religion. I don't know if you know, but in Judaism, there are two ways to do a mitzvah, which is good deeds. Okay, commandments. One is the commandments we do between us and God Himself, which is the things that He commanded us to do. And there are things that we do between us and each other, us and the collective. Like me smiling at somebody in the street, or helping somebody with giving directions, or doing all these small little things that are very, very precious, that are very, I mean, they might seem like very simple, meaningless, but they make shockwaves in the other realms. And in Judaism, there's a big principle that says that the good deeds that a person do between one another are greater than the deeds that we do between us and the Creator. Like God wants us to get along between us and become one, even before He needs something from us, because He's perfect. He needs nothing from us. Okay, there's nothing
Hmm.
that He needs from us aside from us learning, like you said, our identity, to know who we are, where we came from, what we're about to do here, and where we're heading afterwards. But I really wanted to ask you, you said that in the past you struggled, and I hope that's okay that I speak to you about this. I'm sure you're
Yeah,
okay with that.
sure.
You brought it up, and you had even
Yeah.
suicidal thoughts and everything. So what made, because I'm gonna have to share, a lot of people, including myself, have been through this stage of really, it's almost like this dark depression, something that the soul is taken over by. It's not even something that we just choose to shift our attitude towards, or something like that. We're not angry, but we're just down. We're shut down. Our light is dim. Our soul light is almost invincible, and we craving. But in these moments, this is when we wake up. This is when we shine the most, in these dark moments. And I've been through them, and I don't even recognize, I don't even remember like who I was and how I dealt with that back then. But I know that today I would have dealt with it much, much with more light and understanding, and no fear, from a bigger place. But maybe you can share with us, Shani. So, what made the shift? If you want to share with us, what happened? What happened to you back then that you kind of wanted to give up?
Yeah, I think it's a miracle actually that I am here. And it really is because I believe in God, because things were so bad. Like I basically said to God that I'll choose life, but um, I'm living for you. Like I'm gonna do this. It's only because of you, because I just don't want to be here anymore. And the reason why I was like that is because I just found life to be too much of a struggle. You know, it just I couldn't deal with the struggle anymore. And I didn't really have I didn't know who I was. I didn't have the confidence in myself. I was just a shell of a person. There was when I was at my darkest part of my life, there was no soul. Like I don't like I was dead. Like I felt like I was the walking dead. And that's how I described that worst, time of my
What made
life.
you
I'm
feel
like,
that?
why am
What made, if I may ask, Shani, what made you feel
yeah.
that? What made you feel like
Well,
you were walking dead, like that you were nobody?
so it's also how I've made sense of this world. Like I wanted to believe in love, but what is love? Like honestly, we really don't understand what love is,
It's self-love. It's
Um,
self-love that overflows when there's a partner around. That's my
what's
definition to
that?
love. My definition to
It's
love, it's my own
yeah,
quote. It's self-love that
right.
overflows when somebody else is happen to be
Yeah.
around. Do you know what I
Okay,
mean?
that's
Because
good.
when we love ourselves, we can love
Yeah.
others. When we
But
love
what
ourselves,
happens if you're not around anybody that self loves themselves?
then no. Well, then in my
And
case,
and you're
it's
like
always
that
pray
your
for your
whole
twin
entire
flame.
life.
I want like the Adam and
Yeah.
Eve type love. That's what I got, which is twin flame.
Yeah.
It's one soul that's split to two bodies, and you
Yeah.
manifest and work and parallel to your spiritual awakening, you can very well
Yeah.
manifest your twin flame to come and do more work in your life. Love is
Yeah.
God. Love is not just something that you can. It's
Sure.
an ocean of things. It
Yeah.
exists in many realms.
Sure. But how do you identify with that in yourself? And how did you identify with that in yourself? Because if you had never been loved, you won't know what that
Unconditional love.
is. What's
Unconditional
that?
love. I
Yeah.
practice and I tell people to have an unconditional spiritual love for yourself. That a love that does
Yeah.
not depend on anything to exist, a
Right.
state of bliss, divine love,
Yeah.
protection, the type of love that you know never ends, can never be
It's not
betrayed,
it's
anything like
not easy to find though if you don't have see that's why we need that in our image. That's why it is so important for us now that we know it to always be love, always be that light, always try to be, I mean, we're not perfect, but whenever we're not believing in that love, that unconditional love, that connection that we have with God, whenever we're not believing in that, then we're not portraying that. We're not giving that, and it's affecting other people. Now they don't believe in it, you know, and the more we don't believe in ourselves, basically, because we're not believing in God, because that's what's going to end up happening is you don't believe in yourself anymore. So that's what ended up happening to me. I didn't believe in myself at all anymore. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think that I could live. Living was too hard. My mind was completely toxic. It was destroying me. It just told me that I couldn't do it. It was completely opposite to the way that I am now. If you think that I'm like really, like a lot of people say I'm just over the top, like, positive and whatever, because I am now. Now there's like, like
that.
I know what's happening, and I also know, because I am trusting what I'm believing in now, I'm actually getting what I want.
Yeah.
I found it, like you said, you find it in yourself, but now I'm ready for that, that soul tribe. Like I really need to connect to other people, which I don't. Like I'm very, very isolated. I'm very isolated, and I don't have a soul tribe. I don't have anybody that identifies with me. My writing's very, very deep. And it does talk about, like, that's how I've organized it in myself. We're a soul, and and how our energy is working, it's masculine and feminine. And I mean, we're both within ourself giving, we both have that energy within ourself, masculine and feminine, but we can be aware of it, and we can be aware of how it is working with everybody else around us, and it's very, very real. There is order. There's already order here. It's already here. We just have not been doing things in the right order. We don't want to. We want to do things our way, and we don't want to acknowledge the order that's already here and respect it. But once we do, then that's when we find ourselves. That's when we understand how things, all come together. Because when you're in line, when you're one, when you're in line, when you're balanced, then you're going to create balance. You're going to create what you are, and that's going to come to you. So it's the law. It's like when I throw something up in the air, it's going to fall to the ground. That's gravity. That's a law. I can't change that, so yeah. Yeah, so you were just asking how things, like looking back on myself back then, I was a different person, like completely different person. Like I never, ever, ever, ever in a million zillion years ever thought I would be like how I am now. I wanted to, like, actually, because of my the way that I was, like when I got really, really suicidal, I actually was put in a mental institute. I have a really, really, like, life that's probably not what you expected, and then they diagnosed me with lots of different problems. They told me I had to be on meds for the rest of my life. And I was basically what I was always told about myself, that I'm different. I'm not going to amount to anything. I can't, like I was pretty much told this my whole life. And then I have now doctors telling me this, and I really struggled with myself because I wanted to do good. I wanted to,
Don't let anyone define you, okay? Don't let any doctor or any professional define
well,
who you are. I mean, obviously, the fact that you are able to be here, smiling to the camera, sharing this
yeah,
story with people, saying that you're not a different person. Look, a spiritual awakening, Shani, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but spiritual awakening involves that. It's part of it. I mean, I've been
yeah,
through this. I'm telling you, I've been through the same thing. It was just part of
yeah,
how I mean, you're gonna have to go through
yeah,
transformation, and that transformation
yeah,
is going to sit well with everybody around you. And there's times of isolation. There's time of connecting. You're gonna have to just trust the divine timing of things on when you're going to have that. How did you call it? A soul tribe. So just pray about it. Manifest it. You have to know that when we are alone, some people message me, and when
yeah,
I when I have sessions with people, they ask me like, "Why am I a loner? I enjoy it and I don't. I mean, I need it and I don't. And what's the purpose of it?" I said, because you need
yeah,
time to concentrate. When you meditate alone. When you go out there, some
yeah,
monks, I don't know where in Asia, they're like on top of the mountains, just sitting there alone for hours. Like when you do this stuff, you
yeah,
do it alone. When a person is really just a
yeah,
loner, they mean they're manifesting. They need that. They need to align their body and their soul with no
yeah,
distractions, with nothing that's
yeah,
going to be in between. And then when they're ready, when they're fully aligned, just like an eclipse, then it's time for
yeah,
them to share their aura, their knowledge, and consciousness with others. What you write is yours. What you feel is yours. Your journey is yours. Nobody's crazy. Nobody's not crazy. Nobody's mental. Nobody's not mental.
yeah,
These definitions.
yeah. That is
Who are
the worst thing that you can do to people. Yeah. It's so, like, it's so bad what we do to each other. So
We can
we have to see God. We have to see God. Like if we believe in God, we got to see it. And if people are struggling with things, they're struggling with God. And we can't just say that, okay, well, that's mental illness, or that's
no,
that can't be
spiritual
dealt with,
battles.
or
I don't
yeah,
use mental illness. Look, Shani, I have to tell you
yeah.
and the viewers who knows my near-death experience story and what I did when I worked at the prison, maximum security prison in America. I worked, and mostly all my overtime I did in the psych ward of a prison. So not only you have people who have committed crimes, but they're also defined spiritually insane. And also I've been through mental institutions and I worked with people with mental disabilities. I'm telling you, these were some of the most beautiful souls I've ever encountered in my life. Not only they were really harmless, just good people who needed help, I could see that they're going through spiritual battle. And it wasn't even a battle between them and themselves, but it was, with external energies, with foreign energies, with outside energies, and they were battling and trying to find their light, and you needed to speak to them through, like you said in the beginning, through telepathy. Like you needed to speak directly to their soul. Well, I was doing that, and I'm telling you, I've witnessed miracles. Like I still have the doctor who was witnessing. He was my doctor. It was a person there in the hospital that I happened to be for, I think, 48 hours, just because after my trauma and my PTSD from what happened to me, my spiritual awakening was going through with a lot of mental challenges and a lot of events that happened with the mental challenges, and all these in the end of the day I count as blessings now looking back, but at the time they were severe. But however, I realized that I was put in these places not really for me, but to help others. And one story I want to share with you is that when I was there and I just wanted to give up on life as well, and not that I wanted to get attention or to hurt myself or to do anything silly. I was never like that, but I really felt like my soul didn't belong here. I felt like I needed more, I deserved more. I always wanted justice. I felt there was no justice. I always seeked for good, and I felt like there's not good enough. So I felt like I don't fit in, and not because I'm better than you. I'm just different. And I remember that at the time at the prison, I've witnessed some really, really, really terrifying things that got my energies, my emotions, my dreams, my whole life was just consumed with negativity. And it's almost like sticky spider web that gets onto you no matter how much you want to break free. So I was like, I told my wife at the time, I'm giving up. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to live. And before I know it, I'm in the ER with armed guards that telling me, "Oh, hey, listen, you can't be saying this." It's like, well, I said that. I felt that. I'm exhausted. I work at the prison. I see horrible, horrifying scenes every night. My life is in danger every day. What do you want me to do? And so I end up in the hospital because they say they needed to help me. And I'm not like the people that were there. Like, clearly, I mean, I said something, but I'm not. Like, some of them were schizophrenic. Some of them were going through really things that you could just look at them and be like, shame. They medicate them, but these people need like spiritual help. These people need God. These people need their soul. That's the only way out of their condition. Like, I knew it at the time.
Mhm.
I see what they're going through. Like, one of them in the story, but one of them, his name was Chris, and he was just a young man, was my age or even younger, but long, long beard and long hair, looks like a rock star. He's in a wheelchair, and his thing is that he never spoke, he never made a sound for years, a couple of years. So he's there because he can't speak. Like, there's nothing wrong with his vocal cords, but he can't speak, right? So he's there, and the whole time he's silent. I'm there. I can't wait to get out of there. I don't even know how I ended up there. But I realized that, you know what, like, look at these people. They're really nice. They're really like, something in me felt like they needed help. So just, there's like a little game room, or, rec room, if you would. And people there, they were drawing, they were doing stuff, and just chatting and speaking. And I was sitting with that Chris, and he was across from me. And he, of course, he didn't talk to me. He just looked at me, and sometimes he would smile, and sometimes not. But I would talk to him, though. I would tell him, I would talk to him like, just like he never had any issue. Like I'm just having a normal conversation with somebody. And I do it day in, day out. Like, so after like almost 3 days that I was there, a little under 3 days, they tell me that I need to get out of there. And I remember that all the people that were there wrote me letters, handwritten letters. And some did drawings for me. And thank you. And for some of them, I was just there, just speaking to them, just looking at them in the eyes. It's almost like they felt I didn't belong there as well. And the highlight of that day was that Chris comes to me, and his mom came to visit him. He looks at me, he shakes my hand, and he tells me thank you with his voice. That's after 2 years that he has. One of the nurses just jumped, screamed, and they were clapping for him because he was talking to me for the first time, and he said thank you. And then I realized he was like, you know what? I'm not here for me. I'm here for them. I'm here to just share light. I'm here to just try to influence somehow. And it was from that place to the other place. Then I ended up working hospital security, do the same thing. Mental people come to the ER, many people that are suicidal and they don't want to talk to anybody. And some of them scream, and some of them, and I'm like, guys, we don't need to use any force. And I'm security, so I decide I'm going to speak with them. Just let me close the door. I go in, I come out, they're asking for my Facebook information and my phone number, and they want to be friends.
Aw.
Do you know what
Well,
I
you
mean?
treat them like they're a person. They're a person, and they're at the same level as you, and that's how you treated them. You
Everybody.
know,
We're
you
all
didn't
so.
treat them like they were sick or they were weird or they were, yeah. It's just, and I wish that we could have more of that. You know, we're all the image of God. You know what I've been doing lately, which has been challenging, because when we get out into the world, it's the world, but try looking at people and say, well, you're the image of God. Because and just look at them like that,
But
you
that's
know.
true.
Uh, yeah, and it kind of gets me, like, because it's not separate. We're living in this world, and maybe we might think that, okay, I'm not like them or whatever, or I don't know, or whatever we want to think. But yeah, everybody is the image of God, and we all have something to reveal,
Yeah,
even if we don't even understand ourselves. There's so much that we can learn from each other, even in our own darkness. So I think if we were more like children, if you put a bunch of children in a room or whatever, they're not going to look at people and judge them the way that we do. You know, if we could be more like that and more accepting, and just understand that everybody is dysfunctional. Everybody has something. Everybody is dealing with something as well. We all are traumatized. We all have, you know probably trauma you know from past lives, from other generations, from generational trauma. Like, there's so much trauma that we're all dealing with, and we're all trying to function normally and good and perfect. you
yeah,
know but I think we just really need to let go of those masks and just really be ourselves. This is who I am. You can like it or you cannot. It's up to you. And I accept you the same way, sort of thing,
yeah.
for who
And I
you
think,
are and for whatever. Yeah.
since we're
Yeah,
close to
we
the
have to be.
end, yeah, I just have to continue on your message really quick before I forget, because it's close to the end.
Yeah.
What you said with the trauma, I like to recommend to tell people those traumas, you have to convert them for what they really are. They're blessings. You have to see them from a different angle. If at the time the trauma caused you to be upset, to be sad, to be confused, to be terrified, you have to look at them and be like, lesson learned. I'm now a better person. I've made a mistake. I'm not doomed to repeat it. I've made a bad choice. I know better. I wasn't kind. Now I'm kinder. You have to look at your traumas, and we all have, and there's something that's even called past life trauma, which is things that we dealt with before we even came into this physical body, and we were in a previous physical body, and there was still a trauma that goes with us all the way until this life, because we didn't complete correcting it at the time. What I'm saying is, take these traumas with no fear, with courage, and when they're over, convert them into lessons, and not only lessons but blessings. And it's really, really important to do that. And I
Yeah.
also tell people about the God thing. When people ask me what's the minimum that I need to do to connect to my, to my inner self, to be able to manifest, to be able to even start some sort of a spiritual awakening, even though spiritual awakening is one of those things that they come on their own. It's like giving birth, or being born, or passing, or falling in love. Like those things, we don't order them online. We don't have a date that we need them to be, delivered to us. They come when they come, and that's one of the most beautiful moments in life. Those moments that we're really out of control. So what I tell people is, the minimum you need to do is to be godly. And it's like, what is to be godly? It's like, look at the qualities of God. Be merciful, be loving, try to be perfect. And you're right, we can't be perfect in this physical body, but we can be the closest thing to it. As a soul, we can be the closest thing to it. When we learn to tap into our body here and there, to tap into our physical body versus to tap into our soul here and there. And that's the main thing people need to understand. Live like a soul 24/7. Tap into your body when you need it to exist, and to do good things, and to talk to people, and to give people, and to practice all these things. Get rid of the ego. Don't do it for yourself. It's not about you. You didn't choose to come here. You chose to do work, and it's a divine work, and it's something that you're sent to do, and you accepted that before you even came into this world. And that's what I want to tell people. Never judge a person, never make fun of a person, never mock a person. See people as souls, and just like you're supposed to see God in you because He is, see God in other people too. Even if they make bad choices, that's not for us to judge. Just like we can't take credit over somebody else's good deeds, we cannot take responsibility over their not so good actions. We can just pray for them that one day they see the light, and that we'll see the light in them. Very important. Shani, I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening for this chat. It was so refreshing to hear your spiritual courage to go out there and just be very raw and honest, and that's the beautiful things about people. And that's something that we're missing. A lot of people wearing so many masks to just hide their past, or to not be judged, or to just live according to what other people think about them. And I think that's real hell. That's the real prison. If you live your life thinking that every word that comes out of your mouth should be like a politician, should be very, carefully looked at, so other people won't
Yeah.
judge you, then you're not living life. But when you really share your past so people can learn, you share your passion so people can resonate, you share your story, you share yourself, people are able to
Yeah.
see you better for who you are. So I wanted to thank you. And I wanted to thank everybody
Yeah.
else that joined us this hour. And I'd like to talk to you again sometime. So thank you so much, and keep
That'd be
doing what you're
awesome.
doing. Keep that attitude. And again, we're
Thank
doing it
you.
for ourselves and for the collective, because we are one.
Yeah.
Just like your Facebook
We are
page.
one.
Guys, check her out. We are one. It's a beautiful Facebook page. Just like what the Soul Guy
Thank you.
does. It's a lot of insights, and I think it's beautiful that somebody knows to come out of personal darkness into light. So it's been a pleasure talking to you. And thank you, everybody who's watching. And Doris, thank you so much. Let me read a couple of your comments just so you know that you are hear and heard. Love is God, love is you, and gratitude for your life. Exactly. Exactly. What else you wrote here? I read the other day that we should look at everybody as if it's God and drag. Yes. Yes. And especially when people argue, there's thing I'll say. When people argue, and sometimes they come to me and it's like, listen, we can't stop fighting. We need a spiritual advice. The counselor won't help us. Professionals won't help us. We think it's spiritual. So can you please help us? Like, what do we do when we argue? I used to tell many, many people, many couples, I said, when you argue, argue as if God was in the room. Argue
Yes.
if God was sitting in the living room with you on the couch. How would you
Yes.
argue? One said, I would never argue. The other said, very respectfully and very peacefully and very quietly. And you know what I said?
Yeah.
I said, well, I got news for you. God is not only in the living room with you, but He's with you 24/7, everywhere you go and with every breath you take. So learn to act accordingly. Thank you again so much, Shannie, and have a
Yeah,
blessed.
thank you. Thank you as well for giving me a voice. It's awesome. Yeah,
Absolutely, and it's
thanks.
been a pleasure, and I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody.
Okay.